every art piece told a hidden story. From famous paintings like The Birth of Venus, The Roses of Heliogabalus, or Ophelia, to simple paintings like mine, each one leading our senses, where logic follows behind. But we all know that artists love to tell a story, whether it be through colors, composition, fashion, poses and gestures, emotions or details. Especially details are embraced by artists but have been overlooked by the audience since centuries. Today I want to talk about a specific type of detail, which is highly underrated, often undervalued, but my absolute favorite thing to include and paint. Flowers. On the surface, flowers are beautiful, colorful, and particularly fun to draw. But on a deeper level, they have been utilized throughout history. Across cultures and through several decades, different flowers and different types of plants have been assigned profound characteristics and qualities. These characteristics and qualities have led to an outward appeal, because not only the plant itself was valuable, but also the knowledge about it, deeply linked to societies, cultures, their rituals, myths, folklores, deities, norms and beliefs. People have started to assign meaning to plants, specifically flowers, which is the reproductive part of the plant. It stands out, it attracts, it captivates. But who exactly decided specific symbolisms, connotations? Why use flowers specifically? The book Ancient Botany by Gavin Hardy and Lawrence Totlin provides a solid foundation for those questions, also stating that cultural analysis of plants remain uncharted waters, meaning that this area still lacks research and acknowledgement. But that's not the issue I want to cover today. In this video I want to talk about the history of flower symbolism in art, how I do my research on flower symbolism, show which websites, books I use, and how I incorporate it into my illustrations. So how does flower symbolism, or to be more precise, flower language, work? So as I said, the origin of flower symbolism is unclear, but various historians have found multi-layered connections that go beyond aesthetics. You can think of flowers as a visual vocabulary. In different times, different societies, flowers held different meanings. Beside an aesthetic appeal, the depiction of flowers in art has always reflected the cultural and historical context of the time. Furthermore, they can give a hint about a specific identity, or just like a fable or parable, point at the moral truth. Everyone who had Latin in school or is interested in mythology knows the legendary Roman poet Publius Ovidius Naso, or more known as Ovid. In his most prominent work, Ovid's Metamorphoses, one of the most important and influential works in ancient literature, individuals are transformed into plants. Illustrating this is either reward or punishment. Not to mention that many different plants serve as attributes for specific goddesses and gods, passing certain associations and characteristics from generation to generation. On top of this, religious texts have established a rich variety of plant symbolism too, either moralizing imagery, referencing different plants, flowers, fruits in different texts to convey moral lessons, or using these in art to explain or illustrate religious concepts and beliefs. But looking from a more political view, it becomes clear that the popularity of flowers was also influenced by globalization, as botanical knowledge, owning certain plants, especially exotic ones, meant power. The exchange of plants grew, different cultures coming in contact with new meanings, symbolisms, and stories, leading to a more complex interplay between nature and mysticism. The interweaving of flowers in art and paintings, therefore, is an ever-evolving code that had different meanings and goals throughout different periods of history. Even today, numerous people try to crack these codes of long-forgotten times, or delicately try to convey the lingering of deep meanings into their own art. When I look for flowers, they need to support the metaphorical weight of the entire illustration. It's important for me to understand the character whole, personality, motives, relationships, background, role in the story. The elements in combination need to contribute to a specific theme. Asking myself what exactly I want the viewer to feel. This is a tedious process, but nothing is more rewarding than the audience engaging with your art, being struck by curiosity and a deeper understanding for the character than before. But to explain the further process, I need a concrete example. For this, I asked my former commissioner for help, which was months ago, long before I wrote the script for this video. Zoe Likes Frogs on Instagram was super kind to allow me to lend her original character Merid for this video. So with that being said, let's begin. Gladly, this topic is widely covered by literature and the internet. With enough resources, finding or choosing the right one can be quite overwhelming, especially when most of the resources focus on a more modern interpretation. But let's step back and start from the beginning. When doing research, it's important to stay organized. How many flowers do you want to include? Are they connected by meaning, color, or origin? For Merid, I tried reading deeper into her story and highlight what stood out to me. First of all, she's an ancient plant witch, meaning that whimsical plants and flowers are exactly her cup of tea. Additionally, she resides in a village located within a forest. Therefore, forest is also a very important keyword to highlight. On a deeper level, I realized that the word sky played an even more significant role. The main conflict, as titled by Zoe herself, was that because of an accident, more or less, all humans lost the ability to perform magic. Unfortunately, her lover's soul got cast into the stars as a result too, leaving Merid with an immortal loneliness. This gave me an idea. Since I always place the character first into the frame, the position of the flowers or the amount stays unclear. Only after I decided for a pose and concept, I start my research. Having highlighted witch, forest, and sky, the idea of 4 seasons came into my mind. There are several words indicating an eternity, ancient, researching, and a lot of time. Even if the spending a lot of time is meant in the context of looking up in the sky, it still accentuates the countless nights that passed by. With that being said, I thought this context could be underlined by the chosen flowers even more. What if I choose 4 flowers, each from a different season, from spring to winter, to serve as a powerful metaphor for the cycles of life and a never-ending spiral. In my notes I put down 4 separate columns and titled them from spring to winter. Beginning with spring, I started my research. Coming across my books at home first, I found the perfect collection of flowers. The Garden of Eichstätt is a book I found at a museum store, showcasing a deep dive into the famous German botanical garden of Renaissance. Being divided by seasons, it was easy for me to navigate through flowers that looked interesting. The very first flower was Erythronium dens canis, with simple searches like where does it grow, or if it grows in the forest, I ensured the possibility for better compatibility. Going deeper, I start looking for the symbolism. What can the facts tell me on a metaphorical level? The flower blooms in spring, symbolizing how just as these flowers withstand the trials of winter to blossom anew, so does Merid possess an immaculate, enduring power. So the first obvious symbolism is resilience. Beside resilience, I decided to write down hope too, since the promise she made to herself to bring her lover's soul back could be seen as a powerful antidote to despair. The same way as these small flowers emerge from the ground, showing that new beginnings are possible. Concerning the facts, it's always important to check out different sides, different perspectives. After reading through some of them, you will come across different interpretations and eventually find the ones that repeat itself or befit your purpose. For me, it was surprising to see that dog's tooth violet was edible and was medically used for years and years. The symbolism of protection and friendship just felt right. Finding the right flower for spring was easy, but for summer it took a little longer. I wanted the flower to fit by color and meaning, but after some pondering I came across the black Aquilegia vulgaris. In medieval times, the black Barlow columbine was believed to possess magical properties, warding off evil spirits and bringing good fortune. Another site said that the flower can grow in a range of adverse conditions, which perfectly connects to the previous flower of spring. As for the symbolism, it can be read as courage, endurance, and risk-taking. Beside this, the site states the following. Columbine flower meaning is also associated with risk-taking. The columbine is a nothing ventured, nothing gained type of flower. In the tarot, the columbine is most representative of the Fool card. In fact, some historians say the columbine's association with foolishness is because its shape is reminiscent of a curved gesturous hat. This passage is especially interesting since I think that Merid's fixation on getting her lover's soul back can be viewed as senseless. Lastly, it can stand for wisdom, as it represents the 7 gifts of the Holy Spirit in Christian stories. In the Victorian era, it meant winning at all cost. Coming to autumn, I stumbled upon the Crocus sativus, In ancient times, saffron, the spice derived from the flower Crocus sativus, was highly valued for its medical properties, culinary applications, and use in perfumes and dyes. In Hindu mythology, saffron is associated with Lord Vishnu and is believed to symbolize purity, courage, and sacrifice, perfectly befitting the concept of the former flowers. Last but not least is winter. At first I wanted to choose a flower similar by color to the other ones, but the green Helleborus viridis just caught my eye. I was pretty confident that it would look good with the other flowers together. And Merid, since her hat and garments are green too. Besides its unconventional appearance, the symbolism has struck me too. The green hellebore holds threads of both healing and harm. It serves as a paradoxical symbol for its potential to treat fevers, yet notorious for its toxic properties. Besides symbolizing scandal and anxiety due to being feared of its poison, green hellebore has a rich history in folklore and mythology, being associated with magic, protection, and healing. In medieval times, it was said to ward off evil spirits. As I said before, none of these interpretations, meanings, and symbolisms should be taken at face value. Nowadays, it's hard to know what's wrong or not for sure, but this shouldn't stop you from putting time and effort into your research. Be aware and find your own way of showing how you see the world. With that being said, let's look at the final result. This should have been a short video for once, but I still hope you learned something from this video. As it's a long video already, I wasn't able to explain the drawing process of the flowers in detail. But I actually already talked about it, not for these flowers, but in my former video, which will now pop up on your screen, hopefully. Anyways, thank you for sticking with me, accompanying me on this journey until the end. Thank you for your curiosity. Until our paths cross again.